My friends, welcome back. Welcome back. We have our, where is it? Our clicky computer over here that was kind of click and wait, if you remember. You would click with your mouse and wait. Well, we're going through the process. Let me get myself out of the way. Just going through and uninstalling a few things. Let me look at the paperwork if I'm correct. Yes, this customer wants to keep Norton, so we're not going to remove that. Anything else we are going to remove, other than perhaps Malwarebytes. It may get in the way. 212.18, yeah. We will remove that. We're just, right now I'm basically building a list. And we're going to go in with Revo. I want to see here and then compare it to Revo and Installer. Wow, 2011? That goes way back. So this thing, that's good. That's a good run. From 11 to 19 without a reload. Good deal. We got Cyberlink, Microsoft, Bleo. I wonder how. I don't see the Bleo icon, so that might be leaving. This with Chrome or Edge or Firefox. Firefox, it would be its own extension, I do believe. I don't think you need the Flash player installed for Windows. I could be wrong. We'll check it. We'll check it at some point. Let's find out what some of this stuff is. I haven't heard of it. Email. Log in now. So we're getting a web search result. Can we really trust Bing results? I know I typed that. Yeah, I sure did. Okay, so login email now is a browser hijacker that comes bundled with a free software. During installation, it changes the browser settings, and that's all I need to see. So we know that's leaving. We're going to undo Malwarebytes on the off chance that it's going to conflict with Malwarebytes anti-rootkit. And then that is about it. I don't see much past that. Alright, moving on. We'll get that set up and going. We're going to get the keyboard out of the way here. And the mouse. This has a pretty unique problem that I've seen the problem in many other computers, but not to the extent this one does it. What it does is it will shut off on its own. Just boot it up. You boot it up into Windows and bang, it just shuts down. But I haven't been able to replicate it. Only when it first comes in. And the craziest thought I've had, which is probably totally BS, would be like some kind of power surge or wiring wrong in the house. As soon as it comes back here and plugs in, it doesn't exhibit the problem. Now I did get it to create itself. Let's see if we can recreate it now. It hasn't been plugged in a while. It hasn't been running. There's no heat to it, so chances are that it's not going to do it. I don't know. Alright, let me fire up Revo on this repair. For anybody that has not seen that, run it, yes. And our computer, not only that, our computer that we're just removing a bunch of junk on, cleaning up. I'm not saying it's a brand new computer with, 16 gigs of RAM and an SSD and the end-all be-all solution. But for one of these older HP Slimline series, this is actually the next step up, and it's well beyond its life expectancy. Hold on, let's look at... Okay, so Revo's not even seeing original dates here compared to... And why is that? Is that all history and Revo just sees recent? Okay, look at those dates. It's all the way back. So let's find power to go and label print and see. Power to go and label print. Yeah, 2119. Compared to 8/11/2011. So which one? What do we trust here? These are all basically the same date. Looking at it with Revo, let's get... Let's update Revo and see if it sees something different, the updated version, just out of curiosity's sake. Alright. That was startup and we didn't get any... Ah. Why this is a good program is some of the other stuff you can get there going to go beyond that. Let's go out. Just, yeah, Firefox as a browser. I like it. Why not Edge? Or Chrome? Firefox. Alright, back over here while that's opening up. As you can see, it's faster, but not as fast as we want it to be. Let's go ahead and get power to this thing and see if we can get it to replicate its problem. We're going to be bouncing back and forth. I'll probably just keep the stream here versus jumping over there. We're going to see if we can get this to exhibit the problems it gave us. It would literally start up, get to the desktop, and then reboot. So you can kind of see. Not now. Did you really do it, Revo? You guys are that far out there. Alright, so we're working on updates currently. I don't have an HDMI a cable to connect this. We do have HDMI and VGA access, but nothing to bring it up because of we got the webcam running as well as the webcam and then the mirrorless Panasonic. So we're at a standstill. We got to go back over to the entertainment while the repairs happen. Let's open up Edge and see what we can find there. If Revo, so this is what happens when you use software that is slightly outdated. Some stuff is freeware and then it becomes freemium, I guess. They have a paid only option. Portable. Okay, so look here. They do still offer from Revo Installer. Save as. We're going to send it right to our flash drive, and it is version 2.10. Just send it right there, the zip file. And then we'll open the folder at least. 2.10. I want to see what version we're on here again. Because they're up to version 4 with the paid. We may just have to buy. So 2.05 portable. 2.10. Alright, so we're restarting here. Let's actually go to that one. Not much of a change, really. We will see if it comes up. Like I said, I haven't been able to, when I saw it happen, this computer first came in, I started up and it restarted itself. And then a second time it came back and it did do it once or twice, but one of them was a reboot for the Windows install, so I'm not going to count that. The one, and I don't know if it was a heating issue, what it was. A fan issue. The fan is definitely running. It has new thermal paste. All that's good to go. But we went out and got a new board. We're going to swap that in. Delete that. Yes. Alright, we are getting to Windows. I don't know if you can see the spinner. It's going to, getting Windows ready. 30%, so still working on updates. It'll be doing that for a minute. Alright, so even the newer, not newest, newer version of Revo Portable shows all 2019 dates compared to another one. So email login now. Let's get that out of there. Updates are 100%, people. Do not turn off your system. Okay, that does happen. Usually you'll see that happen running the uninstallers, or running the programs uninstaller failed, and that's more often than not, if you try doing these cleanups before you run ADW, malware bytes, anything, that's when you will not see that window. Because the malware, whatever's still going to be there, browser hijacker, anything that Malwarebytes, ADW, JRT, RKill, any of those programs would normally remove, which is all vastly different stuff, and can be stuff related to these bogus programs. Once it gets pulled out, the command, the uninstaller may not run, but still, go on, put your little dot here in advanced, hit scan, and we're going to get a list of stuff that Revo is going to uninstall that may be left over from that. There may be nothing. We've seen it happen. Here, we are on, stuff is loading up. And this is an old computer. Not something I would put any more stuff, no more dollars into it. Let it die, run it till the wheels come off, and when it's done, it's done. I wouldn't even do any more cleanups or take everything off and reload Windows on this. This was made well aware. I don't know why people hang on to computers for so long. And the same as this desktop, they're still very usable. But why? Why do you want a computer that's 10 years old? Get something a little newer. as you can see, we have some results here. This is all related to that email login now that we're removing. So we're going to hit select all, delete. Select all, delete. Anything in the list will be removed. And that one's gone. Bleo. I think we'll leave Bleo for now. I want to find Malwarebytes in this list. If I didn't pass it. The blue M, I always miss it. There it is. And we're going to uninstall it. There's an error that exists if Malwarebytes, if it's an older version that was installed and the computer got an infection, got malware, any adware, any of that in there, and then you try to run malware, but mbam Swiss Army.sys file that blue screens your computer when you try to run Malwarebytes anti-rootkit. This computer, some computers suffer from it, some don't. And it's not a one problem, one solution only. There's like multiple solutions for it, but it's still a good indicator that something could be wrong with your computer. It's not the best indicator, but it's still a good one in my opinion. You know, opinions can be wrong. Right, we're gonna let this run. Malwarebytes, where are you? We're getting to it. We're getting to it. Let's get this out of here. Same thing again. We want to select all, delete. Select these, delete any that it can't remove now. It will remove at the next reboot. Per the message. You sad, sad computer. You need some goodness back in your life. You're speedier than you were when you came in. And click. I can see the problem that she was talking about, because you would literally click and nothing would happen, and then click and wait, click and wait, click and wait a little bit, and then finally about the fourth or maybe fifth time you click, something would start happening. So I could see her misdiagnosis of she is clicking and it's doing nothing. She has to click multiple times before it would respond. Very understandable. Press reader. No clue. We'll look it up. Back from the days of XP, they're still talking XP there, so that's how almost the time when this computer hails from. The expert guide. What are they telling us? ADW, some other tools. Oh, they don't have a Windows 10 section, so somebody wrote this before we got here. What a shame. Okay, so they're telling us the same thing. We're going to go ahead and get it out of there. It got installed with some freeware. And back here again. This here, if you ramp this up with an Intel burn test, like with as much RAM as you can afford from the system, because you can't put the RAM as high as the system is, it just won't do it. It's programmed not to. Even getting this thing to run a little hot, and it still won't shut down. I don't know what the problem was. All I know is I have never, in weeks of use. Now, I didn't use this to do streaming, but I did use this computer personally. It doesn't have any customer's info on it. It's just a stock load of Windows 10. I used it personally for every bit of research and typing and searching and emailing, ordering stuff. Everything I did for 2 weeks solid, I used this computer for, and it did not shut off once on me. Yet it did shut off when power up got to the desktop and shut right down when it first walked through the door. Like in the door, opened it up, hit power within like the first 5 seconds in the shop, and it did it. And now it works great. But regardless, we're not going to spend and waste time trying to replicate a problem that we haven't been able to replicate in weeks. We're going to eliminate the only thing we know of that could be causing the problem, and that's the motherboard. We have another one here. Let's take a look here and remove this. Alright. Very, very, very repetitive if you haven't been able to tell that from the stream already. It does get repetitive and monotonous. I don't see any other red graphics receiver. Okay, it's a Hewlett Packard. I don't see any other red flags here of stuff that needs moved, other than I've never really liked Bleo being on any system, but being that I've never looked into it either, so I can't say what the deal is with it. Oh, anti-root. Let's go in. Let's see if we can get this blue screen to happen. Whenever you come in, always update this program. Like, I don't know how many times I've said that. But we're going to say it again for the people that may see it that haven't heard it or haven't watched the other video where I said it. Come in, click update, get it up to date. It's a new month. After it's updated, go ahead, hit your next. We're going to hit scan and see if this thing blue screens on us. If it does, we've got more work to do, in my opinion. If it goes through, generally I move on to the last stage of the repairs. Alright, let's use this since it's there. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. And guess what? Look at that. So we've still got a little bit more work to do. There are a few solutions listed out there. But we're going to dig deeper with further tools, further software and utilities into getting that one to where it needs to be. Have had the same blue screen problem that we just witnessed on the repair computer. I've had that happen on a fresh install of Windows 10 that had nothing except updates, drivers, updates, and malware bytes installed. Uninstalling malware bytes took care of the problem. How that driver that is installed with malware bytes in the system has any effect to where it will blue screen with anti-rootkit, or maybe they're never going to make anti-rootkit compatible as far forward as they are with malware bytes. I don't know. There's a lot of ways to look at it. Did we not do this disk check last week? Or did I skipped it, right? Alright, we'll let it go through. I'm pretty sure that's the one I did skip over. But enough of this. We've got the mouse pad, the protective layer down. Let's go ahead and disassemble and install the new motherboard in this. Try. Is that a Windows 10 login sound? Did anybody hear that? That sounded more like a 7. One other thing, how do we know if this is truly fixed? If we can't replicate the problem? I'm going to say quite possibly we don't. But the individual using this computer, whatever they're doing, and I've tried doing the same thing, installing the same program they did and setting up email. That was their route of use when they got it, and it replicates the same problem. Now, trying to track down an oddball problem like this has been a long process. We checked the power switch. We've swapped out the optical drive. We've swapped hard drives, memory, even so much as the internal LCD screen. I did not do the webcam, but I disconnected it. There was just nothing that points to this is your problem. other than it's an old computer and past the end of its life. But we got a motherboard for it. We're going to put that in. And see how it works out for us. See if, not us, the individual whose computer it is, we're going to see if it becomes a headache-free problem. And why so adamant on fixing it, stuck on this particular problem? Principle, I guess, would be the main thing. A repair was paid, not gotten, and that's never good. Never good when you're trying to do business or represent somebody's business or help somebody out. So we're trying to honor that original agreement. But yeah, actual physical time spent with this particular machine is bordering, I'm going to say, about 24, 26 hours of trying to do everything. One of the problems was the motherboard. Getting the motherboard took, no joke, it took well close to 2 months for this motherboard to show up. In that time, I got to test quite a bit. Alright. And if nobody read the description, let's say what this is: a Toshiba Satellite P755-S5382. Originally a Windows 7 computer. So not a far stretch to say you could upgrade it to Windows 10. It does have an illuminated keyboard, so you have two ribbon cables to undo, and one of them is loose. The keyboard one is not, just the one for the light, so we gotta get that back in there. And a few more screws here, and we should be in to where we can start taking this board out, put the new one in. As far as seeing if the problem's fixed, I can't replicate it, but this guy seems to be a pro at it, which is why I think it's something outside of the computer. And is there anything I know of that you can short a computer when using it and it's going to act like that until it gets plugged into a new power source? No. That's fiction, fantasy. That's made up stuff. That's some BS that somebody tells you, oh, well, it's your house. Where it's plugged in is giving you problems. Here, it's fine. That's somebody not wanting to fix something. What time spent on this machine, I'm about to fully start believing that is a real thing. If that's auto, I guess it's auto, we're going to leave it. These are just the pull-out ribbon cables. They're not a unlock. We have Wi-Fi, which I don't think we even needed to remove. I think the speaker wire is connected to the top. This ribbon cable and this one. Other than that, hopefully. Let's get back out a little. There we go. Focus on the wrong thing. Alright, completely disconnected Now for this removal, we do have a few cables here. DC jack. What else? We have our display and our power button. Yeah, we tried a different power button. We've tried, like I said, a different display. Eliminated every possible thing. Even the actual system fan tried another fan to make sure that that was not the issue. A bad device, a bad piece of hardware can, usually it slows your computer down, but it will not, it's not going to not only slow your computer down, it can exhibit itself in many different ways. Alright, what do we have here? We have a DC jack, we've got a pole, that's out, that is out, that's out. We've got to do some swapping. And in the end, this thing's probably still going to laugh at me, call me silly. Say, what are you doing with your silly monkey mind? Give it a rest. You can't win. How do we do? Do we have a proper part? Oh, do we have a proper part? Well, no, not if I drop it. It looks close, so let's pull our heatsink cooling assembly, swap over our processor, lock it in. Careful when you are taking these out, they are loose, or they not loose, but they've got a spring on it. If you drop it and you're not on carpet, it's going to roll and stop who knows where. Black ones on the CPU side, silver ones go to the GPU, or whatever chipset that's cooling over there, GPU, and the GPU, the RAM. Alright, so we've left part of, and then two of those thermal pads behind. I think if we set those right on the chips, that should be okay. To remove CPUs where they start a removable socket, usually a little flathead screwdriver is all you'll need, and then you would actually take and spin the socket on the CPU. In this case it's counterclockwise. You can see, if you look, let's get down here, get a close-up look at this, and that looks really bad. So dark. Can we do that without screwing up the video horribly? Right here, you have a screw, and you can actually see the whole socket moving when it unclips the pinned processor from the socket, like where it locks into. It's gonna come out and go right in. For people that haven't done this, these are kind of neat. You want to be careful. There you go, a bunch of little tiny pins. So you don't want to bend those. Can we get a more close up of that? Look at that. With the work of art, these things. You used to see this all the time with older computers. Not so much anymore. Most of the sockets or CPUs that are removable or pinless. I don't know about AMD. I haven't bought an AMD processor for years. So, before you try installing the CPU into the new socket, make sure it's unlocked. You can spin it and see. Here, actually, let's go back down a little. You can see how the whole socket slides when you turn this. So all the way counterclockwise is unlocked. There's all the way counterclockwise, and they are keyed out, just like on a desktop. You will have a little silver triangle. If it focuses, does it get it? There it goes. Got it. A little silver triangle in the corner. Let's get that old thermal paste off there. Not the dot, the triangle. That will show you where it goes, and then on the socket you can also find the triangle somewhere. Oh, sorry. You can also find a legend on the CPU socket, which in this case is this corner, so we know we want our triangle pointing to the same corner as where it's marked. To get a closer view of that, we'll try. Don't think, nope, you can't see it. You can see it in person though, it's just not going to come out on camera for you. We're not going to sit here and play all day. Alright, when you set these down, be very careful setting them in. You can see they will drop in if the pins are aligned. And they'll drop right in, they'll be sitting very flat. It won't be sticking up any like that. It'll be 100% flat. Also, when you lock it in, good practice, you don't have to, but you could do kind of like a diagonal. Just press down lightly, very lightly with your hands, and then spin your lock, or very lightly with your fingers, and then spin the lock, or to spin the screw to lock the CPU in, and now it won't lift out. We are going to clean that up and put some new thermal paste on. in a perfect world where humans knew every single thing possible and every way to fix any problem whatsoever, I would like to say that the sticker that was removed from this CPU let it start functioning properly, and that's why it was shutting off. It was overheating that part, but I know that's not true. That's in some fictional fantasy world where everything works. That's one. Where is over here? Alright, we have to try and wipe this off without destroying any of our silicone pads there. We still have two more to remove from the old one, here and here. That it was a recent application. None of it's too hard, but it has already started drying out to a little bit, to a certain extent. So that shows you how often you could change this. Yearly, maybe bi-yearly, I don't know. Definitely a need for changing it out if you're going to keep a computer 10 years, if it lasts that long. Okay, so we have a few. We're just going to set this down and do a comparison right on the board. Trying to see what... Oh, okay, I get it. Just the end of that one. Well, being that we won't get it in the right spot, we're going to put this one back where it goes on our heatsink. What else do we have? 1 and 2. Out with the old one and in with the new, hopefully. Alright, we need some new thermal paste. And just a little. Oh, hit that. What do I need? What would work to adjust that? EV comp? I really need to learn about my camera more. The stuff I've learned was for photography. It didn't really help for video. I did shoot some video stuff, but I don't know enough about it. You know what? Today's no different. Old friend, we're not going to treat you like a lesser friend. That's because we've known you longer. We will do you justice. This is an attempt to make you great again. I'm out of Q-tips at the moment, so I'm going to do a quick wipe there. As well as on this unit. Alright, both of those are cleaned off. It will evaporate in a minute or so. A minute, a little less. we need a few screws. We'll grab our couple silver. And our 4 black, and to mount this down and continue on. We also may be getting rid of that blasted AC noise, the air conditioner. Hoping for, we're trying to get a, what are they called? Where they're split AC unit, like a split heat pump type AC heating unit. So we'll have that cool air and that awesome heat in the wintertime in here with us. And that noisy condenser outside sitting, annoying the bugs and the birds. And anybody that wants to sit in the parking lot and listen to that, you're free to it. Justin. What are you doing, Justin? Are you really there still? Can you reply to actual ones? I don't know, I'm still learning all this stuff. I need like, I'm gonna have to get like a mono Bluetooth and low latency Bluetooth transmitter to plug into my setup here. That way I can hear, because I think there should be a noise, right? Yeah, I'm gonna say there should be a noise whenever somebody says something. I'm gonna type that again to my friend. I don't see him often enough. Reload. What? What happened to my chat? What happened to my chat? Well, I tried. I thought it might work. It didn't. Let's go back to repairing stuff. See, that's why we don't sit and chat to people. Because we're incapable. Right, these are all tight. You don't have to crank them down. Just a good finger tight. You don't need spinning it with both hands, trying to break stuff. No. Let's throw a ram in now and see what. See if that's able to be put into the computer. Alright, well there's the complete CPU swap from the old board and what thermal pads were left behind and not stuck to the heatsink. New thermal paste, it's tightened down, good to go. We got the RAM installed. We're good, that's clean. Our heatsink is clean, so on to installing. Let's see how this turkey's gonna work inside here. Alright, so remember, I think we had this part on stream, a few things to remove. The LCD cable, the ribbon cable for the power switch can be pulled up. We will need our Wi-Fi antenna unburied, and then there should be one more here on the same side as these cables. Let's go ahead and try and pull it through. Alright, there's that. And now we can work, oh yeah, we have a ribbon cable here, and then the other one. As long as we are lined up in the ports, screw holes are lined up, we should be almost good to go. Alright, there it goes. The DC jack is keyed out how it slots in there, so just pay a little attention to that. You shouldn't have any major problems. Remember to tuck your wire, if you're working on this model, to tuck your wire down along here. This will stick up and affect. Oh! Give me a moment, people. The boss is calling. Hello? Yeah? I'll finishing up this live stream here, and I'm going to call the guy and leave him a message. Let him know that it can be picked up. Where? Alright, I tried to mute. I must have did the quick double poke, because it muted, unmuted, so you got part of my call with the boss. That's the wife boss. Alright, come on wires. You're supposed to work with me. We're a good team. We're a good team here. We make computers great again all the time. There's one more for the Wi-Fi antenna. And then we have a few cables remaining, and we should be good to go. Hopefully, this thing will stay on. Watch it, like if it exhibits the same problem, I don't even know, because A lot of this is not original. A lot of this has been replaced. I mean, it's the original case, the original Wi-Fi card. Like, if it's the same problem with all this different hardware, even different AC adapter, if it's the same problem, I'm going to that mythical fantasy land of it has to be your power. I don't foresee it being the same though. I think it was a very sporadic motherboard issue. And that's why we went down the motherboard route after the route of literally changing out everything else. We've got that one, we need to get our fan set in place and connected. Speakers come with the top, and we can't forget our front panel lights. Alright, there we go. That may be slightly missing. I don't know, that's fairly square, so I'm going to call that one good. And it is in the front. Alright. We do have a screw to put in here, and I believe there's only one for the motherboard screw. We had either one or two. Let's take a look. We have one white arrow. No other little white arrows pointing to anything. And if I'm not mistaken, let's find out. Our top case will sit there. There may be... Okay, so we have one here, fan and fan. And how many through the top? One or two? Two through the top case. So, or minus one screw. 1, 2, 3. There's no way. The case isn't even that tall. Okay, so if there was nothing holding that in, only one of them has a through. If I'm not mistaken, that will sit right, yeah, right on top. So we need two for the fan. We gotta find the proper thread. There's no actual screws in there. We'll try two of our usual size suspects. Not it. We need smaller. That is not an easy size to come by. What we're missing. Let's see if this one threads. If it threads it and holds it down, we're going to call it good. And now, negative. not it. Let's try this. We got one more here. That would be our guy. Now, look at this nuisance. That is a nuisance we're looking for. If it'll even focus. Yes. We need one more of those. The likelihood? I don't know. I don't know. Like likelihood of one that threads it, well, highly likely, but one that threads it without being too long, because usually that, nope, we got it. Alright, let's continue on. Usually that thread pattern is a really long, like a long screw. Let's see if this holds our fan in. Indeed it does. Alright. I can't believe they weren't in there to begin with. These things happen. Alright. Alright, we did get that one in. We got one more here to install. Alright, we buried it to the line. Looking good. Keyboard this thing, and we're gonna throw what we can at it to try and get the problem to present itself. When doing a lighted keyboard with two connectors, let me get this in here a little bit. When you have the two connectors as such, I generally hook up the wider, more robust, less likely to rip if you move just a little, versus the smaller, skinnier one. So I generally hook up the main connector for the keyboard and then move on. And it just failed me 100%. Yeah, too dark. Okay, so what do we do about that? We can do that. I really need to get some settings that work for... Why is it darkened down so much? Fair enough. If the video is crazy on the other end of the stream, sorry. I just lowered my shutter speed to a point which would let more light in for my little loser micro four thirds camera. Alright, keyboard is in. We still need to connect our other cable. which is always a task. Can we roll it? We can. Let's rotate the keyboard and see. Everything looks connected. We can test lighting and all that at a later date. We're going to check to make sure the cables are folding and they are seating themselves in place properly. So we won't have any crazy folds. The keyboard is in. Let's flip this thing over and get put some stuff into the bottom of it. That way we don't stress any of the important bits, the corners where the hinges go through. Oh, what a move that would that be, a constant aperture lens. When you zoom, it doesn't change. It's not going to get lighter or darker depending on your zoom. How great. Let's see how expensive that is, huh? Curiosity got the better of me. I have to stop. I'm sorry. Okay, looking at the Panasonic lenses. All right. Oh, okay. Give me a moment, I'll fix the display capture. I guess you don't want to see OBS, do you? There we go. Okay. So here's some constant aperture lenses, what I just said. So whenever you would zoom in, this 12 to 35, f2.8, $9.99. So what is this? A 12 millimeter f1.4 wide angle, professional, $12.99. Professional is 35 to 100. That would be awesome. f2.8. See, I like the ones with the zoom range, but you don't care about that. We're not here for camera talk. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that would be fun right there. Or that. I'd take 12, 35. 35 to 100 though. Either or. Anyhow, back to this mess. Ridiculously expensive when you want something that will, like, you will know how it will perform the whole way through and through. Like, yeah, they cost money. Not today, friends, not today. Today, we can put some screws back in this laptop to hold it together. And let's go for a couple across the front. The sides shouldn't really matter now. But you know what? No, we're not going to put them all in. We can do that when it's standing up. We'll get one more, two more in the front. I guess the real question is this thing even going to boot? Being a different motherboard, it is the same board, but being different, very, very concerning, always concerning. Because you may have to just undo all the work we did, even though it works fine with the other motherboard. Like I said, I can just, no way, no how, get it, replicate the problem. Optical drive. In. Okay. And three, four, five, six screws. I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we gotta dig one of those out. But let's do it. Let's do our test. Alright, right through the windows. The lighting on our keyboard. First, I suppose we should find it, right? They are illuminated somewhat. It's very, very dim at the moment. The important part is going through the windows. And hopefully not ever restarting again. Hopefully not even able to be replicated in the same way again. I don't know, it's not looking promising. It's whatever it is. Did somebody send us a bad part from China? I know what they did. They sent us the one with the real problem. And we may be taking this all back apart again. Hopefully not. Like I said, we have the hard drive lights lit up just steady. Like it doesn't know what's going on. Let's do the manual power down. We need to try and get our startup options, which are not fun on a Toshiba. We have power. Try delete and escape. F2 for setup. Let's go into setup. So it skipped right over. We get a Windows logo. Sadly, that's it. So is something different about the board overall, even though it has the same hardware? I don't know. We're going to let this sit this time instead of shutting it off. We're going to let it sit. The screen was illuminated, but we're going to check one further thing. We're going to grab our cable from the repair computer and feed it to the HDMI port, and maybe it has a similar problem to another computer here that we're already working on. That it was on, it's just not displaying to the external display. I don't think that's the case though. I think there is, or it may be. I don't know. You can't just guess. Even though sometimes guesses are your best, in using a guess to come to a resolution sometimes works. In this case, I don't think it's going to. Alright, so we are froze. Notice the spinner not spinning. I'm trying to give it enough shade there. So we have a frozen spinner, a solid hard drive light. It would seem that the other board was in better shape than this one. And that can be a problem. You're not going to find a new or open box one of these motherboards. Not from 2011. I mean, maybe. What is that? 9, 11, 8 years old? Maybe. I mean, maybe. Everything I've found is used. So I'm thinking that it may end up getting wrote off. Just, hey, sorry, we can't do it. We will honor the initial repair. And if we lost out on this, we have to buy a computer. We do. That's the way it is. We will buy an equivalent of modern hardware. But like I said, we are bordering. How long is this stream now? We're above 26 hours on this computer with swapping stuff out. And I'm only, for the 2 weeks that I used it, I'm only counting like an hour or two, because it wasn't a whole 2 weeks day in, day out that I used it. It was 2 weeks of anytime I had to go to my computer, I would use this. But it's totally locking up. We're going to pull the RAM, try diagnosing if there's a problem with the board, or is there a problem with hardware plugged into the board that wasn't presenting itself with the other motherboard. So first, let's try a RAM. The RAM tested okay. It passed mem test. It passed the built into Windows memory test that exists. We've got a 4 gig stick and a 2, both original to the laptop. Let's see if it's a bad RAM slot. We're going to move the top stick to the bottom. See if we can get past that. If that's the case, a bad RAM slot. What's worse? If you had to choose the lesser of two evils. A computer that works fine, that has one RAM slot, always going to have one, or a computer that you can use both RAM slots and you can't detect any problems, but just randomly shuts itself off. What evil do you pick out of those two? Tell me that. Alright, we don't need that. We need this. F2 is our setup. We're going to go in there first. Okay, 6-3, 7-2 is not 7-2, it's 7-1. So let's go down to the date. Okay. Total memory size 4 gigs. I'm going to leave the beep sounds on. System config. Okay, so what's our issue? Video. So we're kind of back to square one with this one. Swapping out a motherboard was supposed to be our fix for this thing randomly at unknown interval shutting off. And like I said, we could never replicate the problem on premises other than when it first came in the door. Now it freezes partway through. Alright, well, to be continued. Let's get back to our other repair here. Alright, it came back. We still have some activity. Caps lock, I don't think we can turn caps lock on and off right now, or num lock. We do, our capacitive buttons do work to hit the buttons. Wi-Fi light came on, however, it's still disabled down here. Continuing down the same road. We will, now we know we had 2 sticks of RAM in. One was up top, one in the bottom. We tried the top one in the bottom slot. We're going to try the top one back in the top slot, and then we will try a different stick of RAM to see what is freezing. What's freezing everything? Something is halting the system. We're taking you out of there right now. Now we're attempting preparing automatic repair. That's from shutting off multiple times, which you have no choice. Okay, that was weird. All the lights went off that were on, the orange Wi-Fi light, everything. It went like it was going to be normal and just stopped. Completely stopped. I'm going to say it's a issue with this motherboard and this is literally one of the only ones to be found for this. I think there were a few whole computers that were a possibility. This is what, DDR3. It's DDR3. We're not using 2 gigs. What do we got here? Alright, we're going to try a different RAM now. The fun that exists. Diagnosing these machines. Is it a RAM issue or is it a bad motherboard? What do you say? Freezing on automatic repair? I think we're sending this board back. That's my gut feeling with it. So another waste of time. We got what? Like I said, another moving on 2 hours with this thing. Life's great today. Old friend, I've missed you dearly. I've missed you troubling me dearly. Okay, so completely froze. No good. Quit popping up ads over here, computer. Fail. You know what? We're calling it a day with this one. Massive fail. The old motherboard works fine as far as I'm concerned. I just can't create the problem that the user has, and that is literally be in the middle of typing and it shuts down, or opening a program and it shuts down. I'm going to chalk this one up to I don't know. The motherboard is definitely not good. What else could it be? Processor? Do we have one of those here? Do we have a that's the only thing that hasn't been swapped out. I don't believe we have one. We need to see, this is a Core i5. And let's take a look at our socket. See if we can identify it. MPGA 989. Okay. We're going to go and bring up a new tab. So socket G1, MPGA 999, it's not a BGA, it's a pin socket. Oh, okay. So, box part number, that's the list of those. He has an i5. Do we have one? That's the big question. That is the main concern right now. Do we have one to try? I do not know. That's a lot to tear down. A lot to tear down. I'm not going to do it today. Definitely not doing it today. No, that is a desktop processor. That's an i5 3210M, so that will not work. We need something that fits that socket. Mobile that socket, too. Almost unthinkable. Almost. I think we have one. I'm not holding my breath and not making promises because this one is slightly different than the one that is in the actual system. But we do have something that slots into that socket now. Whether it's going to work or not is a massive freaking mystery. Is because we have a GPU there, and I had the CPU here, and I think this may be a slightly newer series that has a CPU on board. Alright, back to the research. What is... That would be it. And wow, is that a way lesser than an i5. But it would give us a way to test. So let's explore this route. Those are all AMD. Nothing to note. All ancient technology from 2006, 2005. And if I'm not mistaken, even more. Yes, even more. Socket 775. What I care about though is being able to test. Now, is the board even going to run, system even run remotely the same? No, but it's something to test. So, on with the test. I'm going to leave it here though. It's been a bitter fail for the day. New motherboard put in and we can't even boot the damn machine. I think though, what would a bad CPU do if it was partially bad or got to a certain point or a certain amount of processes? How does that manifest itself? Alright, well, off to other things, people. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow, not another job from the past, but we get to finish it finally. We are prepped up and ready. It's going to be fun. Our other repair over here is almost great again. It will be leaving us shortly. So thank you for tuning in. You can't win them all. I'm a little sad, a little disappointed that the motherboard order does not work, but is it the board or is it the CPU? That, like I said, that's the only thing we have not tested. Only thing without a doubt we have not tested, and I think we are going to test, just to be 100% sure. Now that I think about it, everything else was changed out except that. Have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's one of those, if you're into this stuff, try and fix something new, learn something. Somebody else needs a hand, help them fix it. Thank you for clicking the link and coming over, hanging out, getting your hands dirty. I do appreciate it, and thank you.